15 years ago, you once said that there is a time then when the great masters of the inner worlds will call on you to stand up and finally clear out the poisons that have invaded your political, economic and media worlds. Is this what's happening now? Or
of course. Of course. Difficult concept. Shall we say, the great beings, and there are some significant ones, often take on the forms necessary to interact. In the past, some of these great masters have come into the world seemingly as human beings. Sometimes they are birthed even as through physical mothers, shall we say. Of course, the great master himself chose this method, but there are others that have simply, shall we say, popped into existence. They come, they interact with some who might offer an opportunity. They can not interfere. As for myself, we cannot interfere in the human condition. One cannot, shall we say, cast a magical spell and put everyone to sleep. These ideas, of course, have been written in the storyline, often to show what occurs. They are stories of value. That is what so many of these, shall we say, tales that have managed to last over the centuries. However, then the great master comes along and he offers an opportunity. The opportunity is taken up to some degree by some who could understand what the message was. In other cultures, others have arrived with messages that were offering opportunity, and each one have attempted to understand the qualities. Of course, there are those who recognize it. These are the teachers that have, shall we say, come through the many changes that humankind have come through in the evolutionary reenactment. I say reenactment because it has, shall we say, happened before, not in exactly the same way, of course. Shall we say then there are generally 9 such great masters who are, shall we say, embedded in the planet. When I say embedded, not all of them have physical bodies as you would assume. They have other natures as such. Does this make any sort of sense?
Yes, it does. However, it's hard to understand what they would be if they're not human beings.
Shall we say some take the forms of, shall we say, of the volcanic activity. Some of these show their power by by ejecting the molten rocks. There is timing involved in this. It is not so much as a destruction, but once again to point to something that is arising. So there are those that come to speak and those that hold enormous powers. They are located not in physical world, but in far more in the astral fields, the environmental fields that rock the planet at certain times.
Okay.
Does this make some sort of sense? It is difficult, I understand, to really be able to visualize, and humans often want some physical form, something to put their attention on.
Yeah.
Shall we say that some of these forms operate within existing structures and vibrate at that level?